surface. Well, I'm going to share some thoughts with you about this. And also, as I do that, I want to start our day off. Before I get all super serious, I'm going to show you some stupid stuff I put on my Instagram page. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance, and I love just I think about stuff all day, and stuff just comes up, and I'm like, man, this would be really a ridiculously worthless thing to say in public that will probably embarrass me and make people not like me as much, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I just feel the need to do stupid things. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my Instagram with you really quick. Um let me see. All right, so give me a second here. And also last night we had a big powwow, as you guys know, in our options income class, and we went through a lot of little strategies that you can apply to take advantage of this awesome opportunity to buy stocks super cheap. And so if you didn't make that, you can still get the recording. Just log in at theblackbusinessschool.com and look for your Prime login. Or if you're not a Prime member, you can go to drboyceprime.com, drboyceprime.com. It's really, really fun. All right, so let me show you some. This is this just random stuff that it just came to mind. I don't know why it came to mind, but I wanted to share this. So give me a second here. First off, I did do a short commentary on 50-year mortgages. I saw my friend John Holt Bryant was speaking on the issue, and I thought I would sort of chime in with a little bit of commentary on that. If you want to know what I think about 50-year mortgages, I think that they are an abomination straight from the depths of hell, in my opinion. I think that they are designed to really keep people in debt for life. And if you look up the history of the word mortgage, it's a break. If you break it down, it's mort engage, which stands for what? Does anybody know what mortgage actually stands for? Like in terms of its like literal interpretation, it's a death pledge, right? A death pledge. Like you will owe me money until you die. Like you are married to the person who loaned you this money. That's kind of scary. It's like an arranged marriage or something. Like you're being trafficked like an Epstein kid or something. Like it's kind of crazy, right? So the idea of a 50-year mortgage is kind of ridiculous to me because I'm just thinking like who in the hell wants to be in debt for 50 years? And I think about when my father paid off his house, or I helped him pay it off just as a thank you for raising me because he was a young man that had lots of girlfriends that he could have had, and he chose instead to go raise somebody else's son. I mean, man, that's he got a raw deal. Well, guess what? This young man grew up, and I paid off his house, and anything he wanted, he got it. So invest in your kids. You never know what you might be investing in, and you may need them when you get older and tired and all that stuff. And so anyway, I remember how proud my dad was when he paid off his house. I remember the pride of just him knowing that I own this. I have legacy. I can pass this down to my kids and grandkids. This is ours. Can't nobody take this away from us. And I think that that's really important. Those emotional reactions that we think are goofy and silly, that's actually kind of important because that's something that black people don't get that often all the time. Like you're looking for your job and everything else to give you validation, or maybe you're waiting for a Grammy or an Oscar or some other worthless award, that white people like to give out to their friends. Um, but I personally think ownership creates a type of pride that you should not overlook. Like that's really valuable, right? Just it's yeah, it's your feelings, but finance and feelings actually go together quite well. In fact, when we do work in our financial therapy department, one thing that we talk a lot about are feelings. How do you feel? How does the stock market crash? How does that make you feel? Being financially secure. How does that make you feel? When you spend money, what feeling did you have that made you go out and spend all that money? Like the other day, I ate my wife. Whenever my wife sees me, my wife knows. She's a therapist, and being married to a therapist is kind of weird. But she can tell how I'm feeling by what I'm eating. She knows that my go-to is a banana split. I make the best banana split. Two things I know how to cook. If you ever eat at my house, I'm gonna cook one or two things for you. Either I'm gonna make you French toast with scrambled eggs and bacon. You're gonna love it. I know I got friends in the Nation of Islam. Don't judge me over the bacon, but still, it's really good. The bacon's real crispy and delicious, just enough. It's good. And also banana split. So I'll take some strawberry ice cream from Haagen-Dazs. I only want Haagen-Dazs. I don't want the other crap. And I chop up strawberries. I put strawberries on top. Then I put cherries on it and pour the juice in there too, and some hot fudge, and then chop up some bananas and put a bunch of nuts on it, and then stir it up like they do at Cold Stone, the best ever. So when my wife sees me eating a banana split, first thing she'll do is she'll come and she'll say, "What's wrong, Boyce? Are you okay?" And she's right because she knows I'm not okay, right? Well, why was I eating a banana split the other day? Because it's November and my mama got sick in November. It's my mama and my grandmother's birthday. It's all my grandma's birthday is today. Felicia, she's the Panther, by the way. That's my grandmother. She's always with us in class every morning. In case you don't know, everybody, if you could say happy birthday to my grandmother for me, I'd appreciate it. Maybe we can bring her in the chat. But I get sad, right? So I'm eating. It's comfort food. It's stress eating. It's all these things, right? So she knows when I pull out the banana split, it's because either I'm under a lot of stress or I'm really, really sad, or pissed off about something, right? And I'll just like take it out on the banana split. So I guess it's better than liquor and hookers and, and crack or something. So banana split will be my vice. But with that being said, though, generally speaking, your finances and your feelings are very deeply connected. Your how you feel about things, I think it's very important to try to grow your emotional intelligence so you can learn how to control those sides of you that end up causing you to make bad choices when it comes to your investments. And not just your financial investments. We've talked about that. That's not the most important investment you'll make. I'm talking about other investments, investments in people, investments in your health, investments in whatever. So really analyzing your feelings is really an important part of business. Like, I think it's weird to me when people are like they'll say, they'll go screw over their best friend and like hurt their best friend's feelings and destroy him and say, sorry, it's just business. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, really, you're gonna go screw over your best friend to go make a couple $1,000s? Like, really? It's just business. Business and emotion does connect, and it's sometimes you have to pass up the money to do the right thing or to feel better about your decisions. If you go out and make a whole bunch of money and you hate yourself, that's not going to be a winning strategy for you. I can promise you that. All right, so anyway, let me share something with you. This is again me. I'm incredibly immature. In case you don't know, just be prepared for that if you're new. And I made this video with these little babies, and I said, our babies should be serious about money. So I decided to make like a little video with babies talking about money. And I don't know. I'm just gonna play it. Here it is.
Listen up. We're here to talk business. Stocks, bonds, real estate. That's how we build empires.
Diversification is non-negotiable. The Black Business School taught us that. We don't put all our chips in one basket.
Portfolio management is serious business. We secure the bag, protect our assets, and we never sleep on opportunities. Capiche?
Okay, so anyway, that's just me being silly. And actually at kittyboss.com there is like a little training there called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. It's very easy to do this actually. It's extremely easy to make your child a millionaire or close to it. You just have to start in advance. If you prepare in advance, then it's very simple to do. So kittyboss.com, feel free to go take a look. And of course, we have financial flashcards, workbooks. We have a whole Black Business School for kids. Because what I want to convince you of, and I'm hoping I can talk you into this, is that your child's financial education should start at birth. It should start from the minute they can learn how to talk, before they can learn how to walk, read, write, play basketball, twerk. Before they learn any of those other things, they should be learning how to be economically secure. Why do you say that? Because I need you to be able to project into the future and look 20 years ahead. And you got to look at how many 25-year-olds are sitting around here stressing and struggling and scared to death and crying and breaking down and robbing people and sleeping with old, fat, stinky men in order to get rent money because nobody prepared them. Do you understand? Like, so you gotta be serious for your kids to be serious. So you gotta have them talking serious about money early. There's no reason why a 5-year-old can't understand diversification. All that is don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's no reason why the 7-year-old can't understand investing. All investing means is you sacrifice something now so you can have more later on. They learn that at track practice. They learn that at basketball practice. You sacrifice in practice so you can win big games later on. They know these things already. They can learn these concepts. There's no reason why you can't explain what it means to own stock to a child. They know what it means to own something. Look at how they act when somebody tries to take their toy. That's my toy. That's my stock. That's my share of IBM. That's my share of Microsoft. I want the kids owning stuff. I want them to understand how to be financially secure. They know what security feels like. They know what it means to be scared and stuck and everything else. They understand these ideas. All these ideas in economics are nothing more than ideas that you've already internally understood since you were a baby. You know what it means to feel free versus feeling stuck. You know what it means to have options versus having no options. You know what it means to feel secure versus insecure. A newborn baby knows when they're insecure. They start screaming. right? Because they're like, I don't like this person. I don't want to be here. Mama dropped me off at daycare. I don't want to be in this place. I don't feel safe here, right? Well, unfortunately, we have a lot of young people out here that don't feel safe. They don't feel safe. And what do? They get on TikTok. They're crying because they don't feel safe, and they don't feel safe because of you and because of me, because of us. It's our fault. It's your fault. It's our community's fault. You could have bought some stock for that baby instead of buying those shoes and paying the car note on time and paying the rent on time and all. You could have did some stuff 20 years ago. It wouldn't have been nothing for you to just buy a little bit of Nike stock when you bought those Nike sneakers. It would have been nothing for you to buy Apple stock every time you got a new iPhone. It would have been nothing for you to buy a little bit of McDonald's stock every time you took that baby to McDonald's. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I hope that this makes sense. And again, I'm not just talking so that we can all feel good about ourselves and have a great speech. I'm not interested in being a great speaker. You want a great speech, go listen to Jamal Bryant or something. He's a pastor. He knows how to get you filled with the Holy Ghost and all that. He's better at that than I am. I'm not here to give you a good speech. I'm here to get you to take some damn action. I'm trying to get you to change behavior. That's much harder. That is hard. But I need you to change it because our kids are being hurt because of this. These babies, do you understand how many kids on the south side and west side of Chicago die because they out here chasing money? Because didn't nobody care about them enough to have a plan for them? So get serious because life ain't playing with you. Life is serious. You must be serious. That young black male at 28 years old who cannot feed his children is in a serious situation. That has to be taken seriously. That little girl who's 26 who is stuck and can't pay bills and is desperate to get money. She's in a serious situation. We have to be serious. That guy who's 34 years old who hates his job and he's so sad that he's thinking about taking his own life because he doesn't feel like life is worth living. He's in a serious situation. So you respond to serious with serious. So I'm damn serious about us achieving the financial security. I don't really I think it's weird. I think it's strange that we somehow let people put us in the disabled handicap spot like somehow we just too, like we're just too dumb to know how to make a plan and prepare. Well, we got to talk to black people like they're first graders because African Americans don't know nothing about saving. They don't know what a savings account is. Yes, they do. You know what that damn thing is. You memorize all the Cardi B lyrics. You know how to I don't you know how to go get Beyonce tickets. I don't know how to get them. I don't know how to navigate the Ticketmaster website and figure out the difference between the real vendors and the. I don't know how to do all that. I don't know how to go to the club and order the right bottle service. I don't know none of that stuff. But I know a lot of people who do. It's priorities, man. And I'm not making and when I talk like this, I know people think, oh, you're being hard on people and you're being uppity and you're attacking black people. Ain't nobody attacking you. You're not attacking black people when you're saying, "Hey, let's upgrade. Let's elevate our condition. Let's do what we're supposed to do. Let's elevate at the level that we know that we can operate at." Seriously. We have all kinds of black excellence on the basketball court. Those guys can do things that are humanly impossible. Have you ever seen some of those guys? They can do. I saw a guy do not a 360 dunk is where you spin all the way around one time. This guy did two spins in the air. I'm like, how in the hell? I didn't even know that was. We're like freaking superhero. How the hell? How do you spin twice and then dunk the ball? That's insane. Or I saw a kid who was in the eighth grade who jumped up and put the ball under his legs and both legs in the air and dunked like this. Eighth grade. Then I saw another kid. This is real true stories. I saw another black boy who was a football star and he had one leg. He literally had one leg. He had an artificial leg and was juking him like nobody's business. I'm like, how is he juking everybody? He's got one leg. That artificial leg is gonna fall off. Like if he gets tackled too hard, like that's a like is it like what's it made? I was worried. Like if he gets tackled funny, that's just strange, right? But I've seen this. The basketball. Anybody ever seen a basketball player with one arm who's really, 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 really good? Like we can do. We have so much excellence in so many areas. So what we do in wealth and investing is it should be an extension of the excellence we display in all other areas. So financial security is one of the most important things you'll ever have. It's very important to be very serious about that, and that's something that I know that we can do. So, okay, so I've given you serious voice and I barked at you for a minute. Let me give you playful voice again. And I can show you how much of an asshole I am on my Instagram that makes people mad. I was curious about this. This has nothing to do with finance, but I just thought, y'all, I'd like to hear your theories on this. What happened to The Rock? How did he go from being The Rock to becoming Chris Rock? Anybody seen that? The Rock used to be like the Mr. Muscle everywhere, and now he's like super skinny. Not that I'm making fun of him. I like The Rock actually. He seems like a cool guy. How did this happen? How did he get so skinny? Sounds like he used to be The Rock. Now he looks like Chris Rock. So anyway, so all right, so let me move back. I couldn't help it. I had to say it. It'd be calling me, man. It'd be calling me. All right. So here's one more thing that I did that is probably gonna be you're gonna laugh at me, but I just did it. Um so I created another little fun little character called the Black Wealth Panther, and I made a little video. So check it out. Here it is. Okay, so there we go. All right, so I'm done. I'm done. So my Instagram's Dr. Boyce Finance. Feel free to come in and tell me how goofy it is. But yeah, I like and I like that song by the way, Chief Rocket. That's a good song. All right, so anyway, okay, so let's jump into the car thing. All right, so I just this is the kind of fun stuff I do just when I'm sitting around doing nothing. All right, all right, so here's what I wanted to share with you in terms of car notes. The study shows that the average new car note is now $50,000. I think the average new car payment is approaching $1,000 a month. The consumer in America is stressed out right now. And in fact, I believe that this is one of the reasons why you have cities like Seattle and New York that are electing mayors that are pretty much socialist because the capitalists have kind of ruined it for everybody to some extent. Greed is bad, and I think that they've gotten to the point where you have this country that doesn't really care a lot about working class people or poor people. They just kind of think they're going to figure it out and just struggle through it, and it's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be okay. I think there's going to be a reckoning, a long term. So I think the election of Mamdani in New York, and the election of there's a Seattle mayor who is pretty socialist who just got elected, from what I understand. I just see that happening more and more across the country. And the thing is, socialism isn't terrible as long as you're not extreme about it. Some elements of socialism are okay. Like just the word social, meaning like you care about other people. My wife is a social worker. So social means human beings matter. And if you look at some of the tech giants, some of the men that run these big tech companies like the Elon Musks and the Jeff Bezoses and the Mark Zuckerbergs, they don't appear to have a real value for people. Their goal is to replace all the workers with robots and assume that that's just going to be okay, that people aren't going to, that they're going to be fine, they'll find something else to do, and our factories will be run by robots, which will be much cheaper, which will allow us to all become trillionaires in a decade or two. So anyway, one artifact of this sort of pressure on the consumer is the fact that the average new car price is over $50,000. So a lot of people are really stretching their budgets. The surge is driven a lot by the fact that there are more electric vehicles and luxury vehicles being sold. So basically, more than 1 in 4 trade-ins toward a new vehicle are actually underwater, which means they have negative equity. That means that they owe more than the value of the asset, right? That means your debt is here, your ownership is here, and that's a problem. That's not good. And in fact, actually, that reminds me, this is where interest and fees can really be the devil. Did you know that half of all black college graduates default on their student loans, and if I'm not mistaken, the majority of them owe more now than they did when they graduated. How in the hell does that happen? How in the hell do you owe more money now at the age of 45 than you owed when you finished college at 23? Well, that's what the fees do. The penalties, the time will lead to. It's like leaving. It's like when I left. My wife sometimes she'll forget stuff in the refrigerator, and she left this cucumber down there. And this cucumber, I think the cucumber is as old as our 15-year-old. Like the cucumber and the 15-year-old were born on the same day. And I pulled this damn thing out, and it had this nasty white Frosty, I was scared to touch the damn thing. I wanted to call the CDC. I said, "You might have killed me, lady." I said, "We got to stop doing this." So it's kind of like that. That's what happens when you let debt fester. Like you don't pay the fees, or you default, or you forget about the student loans, or you just let them sit there. The interest piles up, and interest grows like a virus does. Actually, the when we used to do the mathematics behind compound interest, which was really fascinating. Albert Einstein said that compound interest is the most fascinating thing he's ever seen because money grows in such an extraordinary way. So literally the equations we would use to measure compound interest came right out of biology. So you can use the same equation to measure compound interest that you also use to measure how a fungus grows or bacteria grows or how a virus spreads. So really when you neglect something, when you let something fester, financially speaking, let's talk about the financial part, but it's really true for most of life. When you let something fester, it just kind of gets worse and nasty and everything else. And I listen to this motivational speaker. I listen to motivational speeches every morning to get myself ready for my life. Right? I told you, excellence is a subscription that you choose to renew every day, and I want to encourage you to do that. So what I get up is every day I say, okay, I'm going to be Boyce Watkins today. What does that mean? Are we going to be him, or are we going to be somebody else? And I choose to be him. That's my choice. I choose my wife every day. I choose you every day. I choose this every day. Right? So I was listening to this, and there was one speech where the guy was basically saying, whatever your issue is in life, just deal with it. He said, deal with it. He said, you ain't got a good relationship with your kids, deal with it. If you ain't where you want to be physically, deal with it. You ain't where you want to be financially, deal with it. Confront it. Because a lot of times we avoid things and then they fester and they get worse, right? So really in this particular case, with when you talk about people having more debt 20 years later than they had when they first got the loan, like student loans, that's because you ain't dealt with it, right? You haven't really tried to confront it. A lot of people have bad credit scores and don't even know their credit score because they don't want to deal with it. And I get it. I understand. I understand avoidance 100%. We've all done it. But has that ever made the situation better? No. It's like that nasty ass cucumber in the damn in the refrigerator. We didn't deal with it, and now I'm pulling out this disease looking nasty. It was gross, man. It's just nasty. So you got to deal with it. So compound interest does become like the festering cucumber. It becomes like a virus on your finances, and it's also one of the things that children should be trained on early. Because what banks do, the way banks make their money mostly is they come in and they kind of give you a deal and they say, look, everything's gonna be fine as long as you don't mess up. Right? Everything's gonna be fine as long as you're good with delayed gratification. Everything will be fine as long as you never make a mistake, never have a late payment, and never sort of allow the temptations of the present to overwhelm you. If instant gratification creeps into your soul, then we gonna screw you like a Diddy party. We're gonna make ourselves rich off of your imperfections. So you have that one late, you missed the credit card payment, big penalties, right? You keep paying the minimum balance on the credit card because you don't want to deal with the balance. Well, they're stacking on the compound interest. I don't know, you have an overdraft fee. Anybody ever have a bunch of overdraft fees on your bank account? It's ugly. It gets real messy real fast. So kids have to be trained on that, and that's how they are able to have what you might call plausible deniability. When people say, you banks, you're terrible, you're screwing people, they'll say, no, no, the deals are, well, if you're disciplined with your money, then it's a great deal for you. You don't pay any interest, you don't pay any fees at all. This account says there's no fees, there's no interest. Now, of course, we're going to have to charge a fee if you're late, or we're going to charge a fee if you don't pay it down, or we're going to charge a fee if you overdraft. But other than that, you're fine. So the people that are able to maintain discipline have a good relationship with banks and credit cards. Like my grandmother right here, Felicia, it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Grandma. Um, she was very disciplined. Credit card companies couldn't get nothing on her. They didn't even like her. They didn't want her as a customer. Have you ever, you guys do know that, right? That if you're not a sucker and if you're not undisciplined, they want you as a customer. Like, man, we need somebody we can exploit. We need somebody who's gonna screw themselves, and then we get to join the party. We need people like that. We don't want disciplined people. In fact, some credit cards, if you are too disciplined with the credit card, they will drop you as a client. Did you know that? Same thing is true even in stuff like sports betting. With sports betting, if you are too good at picking winners, they'll say, "No, we don't want you anymore. We don't. You're not. It's not good for us to have a relationship with you because we keep losing. So that's not a good business model. So you go have a nice day, sir. You're banned from our casino. You're banned from our app." That's what happens. They literally will get rid of you because you are protecting yourself. Whereas if you're a sucker and you are in there, you formed some sort of an addiction and you love to do all the parlays are great because the parlays are mathematically problematic, but people don't do math. So but the people that are running the company, they're doing lots of math. They have mathematicians like me that are very, very conscious of your behavior. They don't just monitor your behavior, they monitor the mathematics behind the bets you make, right? So they know that there's like less than a 0.1% chance that you're going to win the parlay. But they also know that you're going to overestimate in your head the probability that you might win. So you'll put money behind something that is a bad investment for you. And then what they do that's really interesting too, this is why you got to watch out for, when it comes to seeking external validation, is the more of a sucker you are, the more they treat you like you're special. They treat you good because they can drain you good. You're the most popular 16-year-old girl in the boys' locker room, right? That you don't want your daughter to be the most popular girl in the boys' locker room. That's not good. Right? So same thing is true financially. They treat these people, these guys get on these apps and they're like, I'm a high roller and blah blah blah, and right, and they boost your little ego and everything. And then you go in, well, I get free comps when I go to Vegas. I mean, of course you do, because you went there and you lost, you dropped 10,000 last time you were there. Of course they want to roll the red carpet out for you. They want you to come back. The drug dealer needs their crackheads. So ultimately, you got to be really careful about these sort of VIP upgrades and even rewards programs. I'm not saying you shouldn't be interested in them. Some of this is pretty harmless. Getting points is fine. Like I got my little Amex points, and I used them. I stayed at a fancy hotel one time, but I know that they're winning in this deal. Companies don't make deals if they're going to lose. They're masters at making money. You got to understand the way Wall Street operates in America. Wall Street is full of people that are absolutely obsessed with worshiping the god of money. They are damn good at it. They're not suckers. They're not sitting around thinking about other stuff. In fact, if you watch CNBC or Bloomberg or any of the financial channels, whenever the topic of politics come up, you never hear somebody on there saying, "This is why I hate Donald Trump. This is why I hate Joe Biden." They don't get into that crap. They just look at the facts. They're like, well, Trump has a policy that says blah 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 blah, so investors can make money if they do da 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 da. And then Biden has a policy that says blah 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 blah, so there's profitability over here. That's all they do. All they do is they don't. There you go, Charles, great term. They don't get distracted. They're like, no no no, getting caught all riled up in about the politicians. That's for other people. We're focused on the money. Now, again, that can go too far. You can be a little bit too focused on the money, but that's what they're masters of. So these companies that you're playing these games with, these banks and stuff like that, well, they ain't playing with you. They're going to be completely rational and without emotion. The only time I saw emotion pop in an irrational way was I was right there with Kanye West right when JP Morgan told him that if he did not take his money out of their bank, they were going to send him a cashier's check for like $200 million. I'd never seen a cashier's check that big, but I saw a letter where they were literally like, take your money out because you said bad things about people. I can't say it because it's a ban. I'm not allowed to say it. But yeah, and they were gonna just give him his money back. That wasn't gangster. That wasn't rational. Like they're all riled up. But that's the one area where I saw irrational behavior. But for the most part, they're all about the Benjamins. That's it. Right. So really, here's the thing. So here's some other stuff that is true. The average negative equity amount for upside down trade-ins has risen. It's now $6,905 in the last quarter. And so a lot of consumers basically have these hidden costs that they're not prepared for. It leads them to be upside down, meaning you owe more than you actually own. And new cars, in case you don't know, new cars are not the greatest investment because how many of you know this? Did you know that when you drive the car off the lot, it instantly depreciates really fast? So a lot of times the best way to buy a car is, in my view, I get cars that are 3 years old. 3 years old is the sweet spot because that lets me get the new car smell. They can make it really nice. It's really nice. I got a nice luxury car that was 3 years old, and it feels like when I drive. If you were riding with me, you'd say, "Wow, Dr. Boyce, this is a really nice car." But I didn't spend a ton on it. My wife's car, it's an attention grabber, but she didn't spend a lot on it. We because we took all that time off, that depreciation off, and it allowed us to get something really comfortable without paying an insane amount of money. And so you could take that extra money, put that in the stock portfolio, take that extra money, put it into your business, take that extra money, put it into your emergency fund. I'm just going to tell you, I remember my daddy buying new cars, and he was very proud of new cars. But I think that came from more of a consumer mindset. I didn't grow up around investors. Except I'm trying to think about this. In the investment culture in my household was probably like a lot of your other households. Let me know if you had that experience. It was more like investing was more like get a good education, work really hard. My parents were into hard work. They were into education. Both of them graduated from the University of Louisville when they were about 30 years old. I remember watching them study at nighttime, and they had real good grades. They had A's and B's. I didn't have A's and B's, and I remember being kind of sad about that. And then also I remember my daddy buying his first house and how proud he was to buy that first house. The interest rate on the house was 13%, which seemed almost normal back then in 1982, 83. I think that him being a veteran helped him to get the house, but he still had to pay a high interest rate. But it still worked out well because I think we bought the house for $40,000, and when we sold it years later, it was worth about 140,000 or something like that. But that was kind of a big move. But I also know at that time, I don't think my parents will mind me mentioning this now, that they did actually have a bankruptcy. I don't remember the details of it, but I think they had to endure a bankruptcy. But I don't remember all the details of that, right? But I do know that culture of kind of like believing that life you were supposed to progress, that every stage you're supposed to be better than you were at the previous stage. I learned that from kind of watching them, and that's a beautiful culture. That's a wonderful thing. What they didn't have was nobody ever talked about owning stock, which again, you take that little bit of extra money, own stock over a 20-year period, you're going to have plenty of money. And then there was no conversation about owning a business. There's not, there wasn't even a concept, but I got a taste of it when I used to. There was this lady, I got exploited as a child. Did y'all know that I was a victim of child exploitation? How many of y'all knew this? That I literally, if I wanted to be a victim, I could probably like tell a story and write a book or something about being trafficked. I was kind of trafficked, but not in a sexual way, and not in a Diddy kind of way. But you can say I was trafficked. Let me explain my trafficking story here. Okay, so I'm not making. If you really were trafficked, my heart goes out to you. So please don't think I'm making light of that. But anyway, here's what happened. Like, it was real stuff. So this lady, this white lady, used to pick us up because we were cute little kids, and she would drive us to a neighborhood and give us these boxes of candy to sell. She would pay like 25 cents, 30 cents for each box, maybe 50 cents. We would sell them for $3 because we were kids, and she would give us a script to read, and it would be like, my name is Boyce, and I am selling candy to stay out of the streets so that I don't kill you and go to prison. Whatever it was something like those little Boyce in the Hood stories, right? I didn't live in no hood like that. I wasn't in a rich neighborhood or anything like that, not even middle class, but I wasn't like a street dude. I didn't want to be. I knew street dudes. I wasn't trying to be one, right? And but I would read this little poor black kid story, and at first it was really hard. I didn't know how to get people to buy, but eventually they started buying. I got really good at it. I became like one of the best salespeople in the group. So at the end of the day, the lady would pay us 75 cents for every box we sold. She would keep $2 per box, so she's getting paid big time. And she would pull out the bankroll and give us like, at the end of the night, I get a $20 bill. On the weekends, I can make as much as $60. I remember how good I felt just knowing that the amount of effort I put into my little business was going to determine how much money I had that day. I ate that stuff up. And unfortunately, it all came to an end, just like every other Goodfellas story, right? It can't, you have the, they have the biopics where it's like you have the good times and the guy's making money and it's like stacked to the ceiling. Then suddenly there's like the police raid or something, and everybody goes to jail. So there was that one day where there's a little girl. I'll never forget this girl. Her name was Waynette, This dang little girl came out, and I didn't like her. She had such a nasty attitude. And she came out and she wanted to make money too, but she didn't put in the effort. You know, you have those haters, those people that don't work and then they get mad because somebody else is doing good, better than them, right? So she came out and didn't do the work, had a funky attitude, didn't sell nothing, and got mad and told her mama. And so her mama called the police on the lady because the lady didn't have a license to be doing what she was doing. So literally, the police surrounded the van and they like arrested this lady, and they took us all home. And I was mad as hell. I was like, I might have been getting exploited, but I kind of liked it, right? Like I was kind of mad, like, damn, you hating ass, So the point was that little experience of really being in a space where not only did I have more money than I got from receiving welfare from my parents would, give me a little allowance, $5. But what's $5 when you can go out and make 60, $70 in a day? It was like, whoa, wait, there's money out here if you're willing to hustle for it. That stays with you, right? So that stays so you got kids, give them an experience like that. Like let them know from the jump that don't no man or woman ever have the right to tell you how much income you're supposed to have. You can decide what your income's going to be. You just have to have the creativity and the courage to pursue all the options that exist for you outside of just sitting at that job like you some little caged animal waiting for the cage master to come and throw you a steak behind the bar. Sometimes they don't want to feed you. So if you learn how to hunt early, if you teach the kids how to hunt early, then that will stay with them. Once you learn the power, tell me if anybody's ever experienced it. Anybody know? Tell me if you've ever had this epiphany. Once you learn the power of being able to determine your own income and how to make money on your own, it's really hard to go back. It's really hard to go work. It's really hard. My brother, I taught my family went ballistic because I taught my brother into coming to with me when I was at Syracuse. When I was on the faculty of Syracuse, I said, I kind of want to do like a public scholar thing, kind of like what Michael Eric Dyson does, except different. Kind of like what Cornel West does, except different. I want us to own everything. Like I want us to publish books, but we can't. Ain't no white people going to take care of us. So we got to create a publishing company. And I want to give speeches, but the white speakers bureaus they won't like people like me. So we created a speakers bureau, right? We had to kind of do it on our own. But then my brother came out to work with me, greatest business partner I ever had. And we worked together. We had a lot of failures and a few successes and a lot of experiences, like traveling down to New York and Wendy Williams was so gracious when I went on her show. I'll never forget Wendy. I just love this lady so much. Her and Charlemagne were very nice to me, and I just will always appreciate that. And I remember my brother, as a promise to my mother, he agreed to go get his MBA from Cornell because she was always big into the education piece, like my grandmother was. So she said, I need all my kids to have a master's degree. Please promise me you get a master's degree. So my brother went to Cornell. He went there 2 years. He had a great experience. He met a lot of amazing people. And then when it came time to do all the interviews, there were all these companies coming in offering really good jobs. Cornell grads get really good opportunities. He didn't go to one single interview, I don't think. I got to double check, but I don't think he went to one single, or maybe if he did, it was just for fun. He wasn't looking for a job. And I said, well, why aren't you looking for a job? I said, that's interesting. I said, I was just curious because I understood, but I was curious. And he said, because once I learned the power and the freedom of having my own business, jobs were not appealing anymore. It wasn't interested in working for other people. I don't want anybody else controlling my schedule or deciding how much money I can make or telling me what I can and cannot work on. Like I don't want that, right? So again, I'm not judging anybody who has a job, especially if you have a job that you're comfortable with and a job that you like and a job that pays you what you deserve, then I'm all for it. I'm rooting for you 100%. So do not think this is job shaming at all. I don't do that. This is not Dame Dash. But what I am saying is that there's like this whole other layer, this whole other level that sometimes we never get exposed to. And I think that if you expose your kids to this early, you're going to open up a whole new set of possibilities for them that don't exist for people who are simply defining themselves by a job and by a career. That is an artifact of capitalism. This whole idea that you have a whole country full of people that robotically walk up to each other and say, "Well, what do you do?" "Well, I'm a dentist." "What do you do?" "Well, I work for UPS." "What are you?" I'm a social worker." "I'm a fireman." It doesn't mean those things are not important, but there are so many other things about you other than what you do for a living. There are so many things about you other than who you work for. Right? And there's so many other ways to determine whether you're a successful human being that should go outside of the realm of which corporation decided to embrace you. Okay, just because you work for Nike does not mean you're some sort of beacon of black success or black excellence. How in the hell does a job determine black excellence? That's why we don't have no black excellence, because we don't even know what it looks like. We think black excellence shows up in a luxury car. We think black excellence shows up with a fancy job. We think black excellence shows up with an Oscar or an Emmy award, these worthless pieces of crap that they created just to make people feel better. No, black excellence to me shows up in being an excellent human being, whatever that means for you. Black excellence to me means showing up and saying, I'm gonna be my best for my black wife. Black excellence might mean showing up and saying, I'm gonna be my best for these black children. Black excellence to me means I'm gonna be the best damn black man I could possibly be. If you are burning in a fire, I will come and pull you out the fire. If you are a child that needs food, I'm gonna go get you some food. If you're a woman that needs to be protected, oh, I got you, girl. I'm gonna come and help you out. Like, I want to be excellent in that way. I want my mother to say that I had an excellent son. He was there for me. I want my children to say, gosh, our daddy was so excellent. He really had our back. Like, I want my friends to say, yeah, at my funeral will be here one day, right? And maybe you guys will come. I hope you'll come to my funeral. I want people to say, God, my life was better because Boyce was in it. That's black excellence to me. When other black people can say their life was better because you were there, that's excellence to me. That's excellent. I would say that might be. I hope. Let me know if you agree with that. I think that's a good universal way to look at excellence. Can you look around at people in the area that you care about? Your clique, your crew, your gang, your people. Can the people around you look at you and say, "My life improved because you're here. You had my back. You believed in me. You gave me support. You gave me guidance. You gave me wisdom. You lit a light when I was in the middle of darkness. You elevated me in a million ways." That's black excellence, y'all, in my opinion. It ain't got nothing to do with whether or not you show up with a fucking Gucci belt. I don't care what kind of diamonds you got, or what kind of car you drive, or what kind of job you got. That white man gave you that job. Stop that. I should be congratulating him, or giving him the praise because he decided how great you were going to be. I should no man who's not black, in my opinion, get to decide what black excellence looks like, but we do it all the time. Some Negro gets a fancy job and we're like, that's black excellence, y'all. That's black excellence. No, it's not. That's white excellence because they have the power to decide what your fate is and how people are going to view you. So sure, if I'm white, I'm like, yeah, good job, Todd. Way to go, Ted. You really got those people under control. Yeah, that's white excellence. That's not black excellence. Black excellence is when you rise up because you rose up. You understand? Black excellence is when it's getting done because you did it. You did the damn thing. That's black excellence to me, not somebody creating something for you to give you the artificial appearance that somehow you are a successful human being. Nobody else determines that. You determine that. So anyway, no disrespect to those Negroes with fancy jobs. I'm not making fun of you, but I'm saying, like, I think you got to really sit back and ask yourself, if you believe in black excellence, what is that? How do you measure that? When I say how do you measure that, that's a very deep term for me. There was a whole class in mathematics called measure theory. And what measure theory basically does is it says, how do you know if somebody says something's big or something's great, how do you measure that? Like if you're a fish, how do you measure what it means to be an extraordinary fish? Because if you measure the fish by how well it climbs a tree, then even the best fish are going to be looked at as failures. If you measure giraffes by how well they fly, then most giraffes will be failures, except for the one who happens to have wings, right? So a lot of times when you measure black success based on how well white society accepts you, then you're not measuring black success. You're measuring um, integration, maybe. You're measuring acceptance, maybe that's, I mean, and that's fine, but you got to know what you're measuring, what you're looking at, so you can make sure you're looking at the right thing. So let me finish up on this. Let me finish up a couple more quick points. um One more reminder, don't forget that Errol Seaman-Gall, my main man, is going to be teaching. He's doing the B1 Options Weekend. I'll give you guys the link if you want to join. It actually starts today. I don't know what time he's starting, but it's all in the login. So I'll give you the link. If you're into stock options, feel free to. Somebody said Errol is free. Okay. 12 noon. There we go. Okay, so there's the link. All right, so there's the link if you want to join Errol and the crew. I know a bunch of you are going to be at that, and I think you should because Errol's a great guy. I don't even know. Errol may even be here. I don't know if he's here or not. Sometimes he pops in. But that's happening today. Also, the Crypto Club is going to meet on Monday. So if you're into crypto, you want to speak to our experts. I think now's a good time to buy crypto because crypto is really getting hit hard in this decline. So if you can hold your nose and sort of invest for the long term, I think crypto, yeah, it's not free. No, it's not free. Exactly. There we go, Andrew. All right. So, but there's a small fee, but it's up to you to decide if it works for you. But everything is yours for life. So, and you can bring your whole family. So feel free to do that. But we can't run the whole Black Business School on free. We can do some stuff free, but some stuff we need support from the community. And for those that support the Black Business School, thank you. Our goal is to build the next great HBCU, and I believe we've done that. We got a 250,000 students worldwide, and I don't know of any other institution that is able to train on Black wealth, Black ownership, Black economics for the entire family in the way that we do. In fact, there is no other Black financial therapy department that I've ever seen. In fact, you'd be amazed at how little how little research there's done even on Black financial psychology. They don't even study Black financial psychology. So they didn't even know basic things like the link between trauma and wealth and trauma and spending habits. Like basically for those of you that were raised under like all this trauma that we experience, it's a little bit tough for you to regulate your economics because regulating your emotions has been a challenge. And a lot of the concepts that come into investing, like the ability to engage in delayed gratification as opposed to instant gratification, are connected to emotional regulation. So if you're heavily traumatized and everything is built around a trauma response and going off and going crazy and giving up and walking away and avoidance and all these other things, then you're going to have a hard time with investing, things like that. So, in order for you to grow financially, you're going to have to heal. Healing has to be a part of it so you can be level headed and calm as you make your choices and rational. If you can be rational on some level, then you're going to be wealthy. If you're not, if you're irrational with most of your decisions, then chances are you're going to make a lot of decisions based on how they make you feel in the moment. And in fact, there's a theory. I looked up the theory. What was it? We talked about hyperbolic discounting, where we tend to look at them at the moment as opposed their present bias. That's another term. Basically says people tend to overweight the pleasure they receive right now, and they underweight the pain that will come later. So they don't think about the long-term pain, but they're really thinking about the short-term pleasure. And what that does is that causes people to buy those new cars. So you'll go to a car dealer, and the car dealer will be your friend and offer you, a 72-month payment plan so that the payments are lower because he knows all you're thinking about are the payments. You're not really thinking about the total cost you're going to pay. You're not thinking about all the interest you're going to pay. None of that. And so he'll stretch out the time, and next thing you know, you're locked into this debt for many many years because you're so excited about how your friends are going to view you when you're driving down the street in a Mercedes. I remember sitting with this. I told you about the horrible girlfriend I had in college. She was really mean. She was a terrible person. But her mother was a wonderful lady, and I went with her mother to buy a new car. And I remember her mother was one of those shrewd, sharp black women. Like she was a teacher. She didn't play no games. She was like my grandma. Just you got those black folks that ain't got time for foolishness, right? Like that, like the nonsense. We're not doing that. And so she sat down with this white man who was a car dealer, and I think that he thought that he was going to be able to pull the okey doke on her because there are studies that show that they tend to charge women more money because women they kind of there's the assumption she's you can make her fall in love with the car and she's not going to feel as confident and competent when it comes to negotiating the fine details and all that, and so they tend to charge black women the highest prices on cars. I don't know, has anybody ever seen those studies? Those studies are out there, so be really careful because there is a racial bias in the way they sell you the car. Not with her. Not with her. She was like my grandma. She did not play. So I remember her sitting there with this man, and the car payment, well, let's say it was like $230. She said, I don't want to pay more than 215. And the man was sitting there, and we were I swear we were sitting in that office for like ever. And I knew I just learned, I was in college and I just learned like the present value of an annuity model. And I was trying to like calculate things that they could change in order to get the payment down. I was like, well, you could get a cheaper car. They could lower the interest rate from, 8% to 7.5%. They could change this and change that. And the guy came back. I remember I never forget, he came back and he was like, hey, congratulations. We figured it out. And I'm like, figured what out? He's like, yeah, we figured out how to get the payment below 215. And then we said, okay, wow, how'd you do that? Well, they laid out the loan, and instead of the loan being 5 years, it was going to be 6 years. And they didn't change one single variable. They did not change the price of the car. They did not change the interest rate. None of that. But the payment changed because they changed the amount of time that she would be paying. And I remember I said to her, I said, well, they didn't really give you a deal. They just stretched out the time. And I remember that led her to say, well, I'm not doing that either. And this guy was so frustrated. He was so mad at her, but he needed her as a customer. And eventually he caved and he gave her the price that she was looking for. And so ultimately, that this is the thing. Finance by nature, they have predatory lending, right? But I'm going to tell you the truth. I think capitalism by its very nature in its extreme form is naturally predatory. It's naturally there are the sharks and there are the fish, right? The big dogs eat, the guppies get eaten. So I don't think I think you've got extremely predatory stuff, right? Like those, rent-a-center loans and payday loans and all that. That's predatory, but really a lot of capitalism in general is predatory. The culture that says that the shareholders are getting rich while the workers are underpaid, that's pretty predatory. Um, and the thing about the predatory nature of American capitalism is if you imagine yourself in the woods where you're surrounded by predators and there are no police, there is nobody there to regulate, there is no park ranger to guide you or to protect you, you have nothing in terms of safety and protection, then the only way to survive is you got to learn how to survive in the woods. You got to learn what happens out here. You got to learn how to identify healthy plants from poisonous plants. You got to learn which animals are going to partner with you and which ones are going to eat you. If you don't learn these things, then you will be the prey. So I want you to consider American capitalism as a big, fat, gigantic economic jungle. Big jungle where you've got the predators who are ready. They're conscious, they're aware, they're watching your every move, they're collecting data, they're studying your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities and your emotions, and they're just literally licking their chops and they're hungry. They're real hungry. Like capitalism breeds greed. You have movies like Wall Street where Gordon Gekko got up and gave a shareholder speech and said, greed is good, right? So you literally have people that believe that greed is good and that if you can't protect it, then you don't deserve to have it. That I deserve to have it because I'm willing to take it from you, right? So you got this kind of environment in the United States. That's a scary place to be. So why wouldn't you consider it to be absolutely essential, knowing how important money is? Money's the difference between having a good day and a bad day. Why wouldn't you consider it absolutely mandatory and essential that every child in our community get trained on the economics of self-defense or how to protect themselves in this predatory space? Because the other beauty about the jungle and the freedom is that the jungle is full of abundance. There's gold out there, there's fruit and plants, there's all kinds of ways to do well. But if you don't know your way around, I mean, imagine this is what I visualize when I see a lot of our kids being tossed out into the economy. This is why I believe, if you remember the Black Core of Three in the Black Business School, is that we believe Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, support Black-owned businesses. The reason I believe that's so important is because they deliberately train your children to be the prey. They fatten them up just like chickens at KFC. Ain't nobody training the KFC chicken to be king of the jungle. No, you're not going to be fit. You're not meant to be aware. You're not meant to be anything. You're being groomed to be eaten. You're being trafficked. Thank you, Calvin McWilliams, smartest man in the world. You're being groomed to be eaten by the predators. They're not sending their kids to these crappy inner city schools. They're sending their kids to prep schools where they're teaching them how to manage people, how to run a business, how to do artificial intelligence and collect data, right? They're teaching them how to make a profit, how to build an organization, how to be financially secure, how to build wealth, how to make an investment. And you're being taught how to go beg for a job. Not even a good job. The kids they don't have the skills to even get the good jobs. How is this going to work? How is this supposed to work? How in the world is this supposed to lead to some type of equality in a country that don't even know the meaning of the word equality? That's a fairy tale in my view. I don't think equality will ever exist. I think that there will be survivors and there will be those who don't survive. That's all that there is. So let's not deliver our kids into an economy where they're going to be dead on arrival. I want them to be ready to defend themselves. So when I visualize the economy, I visualize this big jungle that's full of predators, and we're taking like the little kid from the suburbs who's never ever had a fight in his life, who don't know how to use a weapon, who doesn't know how to hunt or cook his own food or anything, and you drop him in the middle of that jungle with no supplies, no backup, no protection, no skills, no nothing. He gonna get ate by a lion in about 10 seconds. They're waiting for your children to enter this economy. So the choice is yours. How do you approach that? I laid out the scenario. This is what I see. It's up to you to decide what you're going to do with that information. All right. So don't forget, if you want to be on the text list for this class, text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. I also want to mention that Friday night, we're going to do another financial slumber party. If you don't know, that's where we get in a private Zoom and we play music and have fun and we wear our pajamas and we meet at midnight and we talk about finances for a couple of hours. I think this weekend I want to do something on stormproofing your portfolio. I want to talk about what it means to invest during a recession or during a volatile economy. So I'll invite you guys to that. You'll probably get a text message from me inviting you to join on Friday. And also the Crypto Club meets on Monday. And then today, Errol starts his session on he's doing a whole weekend event on options investing. So if stock options are of interest to you, then you can feel free to click the link that I just put in the chat. And I think Errol starts this afternoon. So we got plenty of stuff going on for you in the Black Business School. And we're here for you. We want to make sure you're successful. And I'm really proud of those of you who are making the decision to grow and elevate your thinking, because that's what it's going to take. That's what's going to happen, and we're going to win. We're not just going to catch up. We're not just going to survive. I want you to thrive, and because that is doable for you, as long as you don't waste your time. All right, got it? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All right, so I'll put the link in the chat. Feel free to click on it, and I'll text it out to you also. So you may get a text message or two from me later on in the day, because we also have stuff going on with artificial intelligence there. We have a lot of stuff happening with our faculty. So God bless you. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.